But I'm curious to see if anybody has any questions or thoughts or something they want me to look at. Otherwise, we're going to keep talking about Barbara. Let us talk about Barbara. Okay, so this is a second user for water that we're looking at. And I also do not use Barbara, so I do not know her personality, but I guess theoretically we can also look her up. Barbara is the diaconus, diaconus. How do you pronounce this word? Pronunciation. Cover your ears.
Deaconess.
Deaconess. Barbara is a deaconess of the Church of Favonius and self-proclaimed idol after learning about them from the intrepid adventurer Alice. I see. All right, so basically let's treat her as an idol. She wants to sing and dance and be pretty rainbows. Perfect. So, what does that usually involve? That probably involves lots of twirling, lots of like pretending to be a magical girl and all that little fancy stuff. So Barbara then, in contrast to someone like Sucrose, is very confident or wants to show off, right? So we're talking about like sort of those two different tiers of kind of like things that you can do when animating in terms of magic. So in this case for flourishing, Barbara's all about doing these flourishes, right? She's all about, at least from a sort of like cutesy, pretty way, she wants to sort of communicate that she's got grace and all these things, right? Or at least like a lot of energy, a lot of cuteness, a lot of peppy energy, right? Woo! So this one's pretty interesting too, where this first cast is not something where she goes forward or back or wants to cast like very, very powerful. What she's doing is she's trying to do something that, wow, that's kind of crazy too. Look, like how there's so like her skirt. So this is specifically done for her, but her skirt balloons a lot. And now this isn't because her physical action is jumping up. Like this would only balloon this way in real life if she jumps up like this, like to this height, goes down, goes up, and then balloons outward. But right now, she just woof. And I guess, you know, the power of magic. Woof. But what's also interesting about her way of casting, like if you see it, she's not sending a lot of energy or power into the motion. She's kind of like almost riding in the air or something. Or she's just like doing one of these cute like hello or like a side swipe with her on her hand. And then it creates sparkles. What's interesting about it is that it's a very snappy motion, right? She does this first motion here, and then the snap is 1, 2, 2. It's 2 frames, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, into the overshoot and settle. In terms of antic, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. So you have 4, 2, 4, 2, and then whatever it comes after, right? So your antic is basically twice as the actual motion. Boom. And so you get this thing of like sism. You get sort of that kind of feeling. And so it's interesting because I would say Barbara is sort of doing flourishes and stuff, but at the same time, she is not doing something super involved afterwards. I think if we look at Lisa afterwards in the next one, in the next section, it's actually going to be much more of like, kind of like when we were looking at, there was this time that we saw some auto attacks from Electric Archer Girl. Fischl has all these things where she like hits a pose and drags it on and just like juices it out for many frames. Barbara's a lot more to the point, but she's not afraid to hold these visually interesting poses, although they may look very uncomfortable, right? And I think that's actually one of those things for like Instagram or for like idols on stage. You know, they understand that it's all visual. What they're trying to do is very visual, and they're trying to make you pay attention to that kind of stuff, right? So, boom, she hits these poses and she holds them, right? And then there's nothing more to it. She just hits a pose, woo, and then spins out, hits a pose, spins out, hits a pose, and holds on to it. Nothing too crazy. But you know, you get rainbow stars and all that stuff. So cute. Cool. This one you get to see a lot more of this like sort of physical action where everything so far has been a lot of spinning on the axis. If we look at the side view, it's probably the easiest. The side view and this back view are probably the best ones to look at. So this goes to the side a little bit. Left, right, but in this one, it doesn't go forward or back. Left, right, spin on axis. You get a little bit of this into this shape from the previous this one. So you get this one afterwards. And then you get this one, which is a lot more involved, which is nice. You get into a spin, I think. Steps on this leg, does a leg swipe, which is very interesting. None of the other Catalyst users have done that yet. Into 2 hands up. Her root is going up, but her root is actually going forward. If you see the side view, this is the first time it's going forward like this. So up here, center of mass, back like this, and then she's gonna go this way afterwards, right? Boom. And see, you can look at this pose versus Sucrose. Come on, Sucrose, show us your nervous. This one, almost the same. Almost the same. This one's a little bit higher. Sucrose is a little bit lower, but that's because she's trying to hide herself, right? Barbara, on the other hand, kind of the same pose, but she's smiling. Her face is forward. She's enjoying it, right? As all idols do. All right, so this is neat, where you notice that actually she does this, she floats in this entire sequence. So I believe this is what, first cast her ult? No, this is not for her ult. This is for her E. Cool, interesting. So it's interesting. I'm not sure if she can move during this time. I know, for example, for League, a lot of times when we do these things, the character will jump, as she does here. Jumps. She doesn't fall down, but she floats because lots of magical energy is swirling around her. Magical girl, you can do whatever you want. She doesn't fall down. She does a little small spin to the left side a little bit, 180, maybe roughly 90 to maybe 120. And then she comes up again. So she comes up, does a small thing, then comes up again, and then comes down. A lot of times when we do something like this in League, you'll have a shadow and then the character is basically levitating. This is a lot of times just so that when you're moving afterwards, you can still move without having to animate a walk, because floating is a lot easier to do. I don't believe you can move while this is being cast, but it's all very cute. We look here from this perspective. It's very nice that when she jumps, when she goes into the air, you have this foot come across, getting this cross on this straight leg. Always very, very appealing to have that kind of thing. Spin happens. I think if we just take a look at the footwork here, it's really, really nice where have the straight, this comes behind, but then when she rotates, this relaxes and this comes back up into a bend, double bend, so that when she comes up, you have a little bit more of a visual pose change. And you'll notice that in this situation, right leg was straight first. On the next pose, left leg is straight up. Also, I think we can observe here, this whole side is straight, whereas you have this more complex stuff on the side. Not counting the dress, because the dress needs to just balloon on both sides. But having this long straight line helps communicate a lot more intensity and power and strength in a pose. That's really nice. Like if we just play through that, you can see here that, for example, because she's spinning, her hand is doing this cast here, and that's because a lot of this energy is going around in this circle. So a circular motion first into something that's up and straight for the more powerful beat, right? Boom. And because she's moving forward and up, then having that line there really helps accentuate that. I believe the explosion goes upwards. I mean, it looks like it, like stuff's happening like Little Mermaid right now. Ooh. Oh, that's cute too. I didn't even notice that. Right here you can see there's an effect trailing her hand motion right there. Circle into straight. This is a very, very nice pose. I feel like a lot of times actually a pose like this is it's modeled sometimes in the figurines. Quite attractive. Balanced. Has a strong angle, but has enough interest in terms of other appendages being bent. Thank you for the follow, Tempest Fox. Appreciate it. This is her E. Oh, look at that. First does a spin. Oh, but what's cool about this is interesting. Okay, so instead of doing a straightforward thing, she does a spin like a half turn, half curtsy turn or something, right? Like if you wanted to, you could always have her face forward. She's not doing anything too crazy, right? If you just jumps up, comes down, does a cool thing. But if you can always add axis turn, right? If you need to do something where you hop up and down, just very straightforward, why not layer in something where her root is facing left then right, or right then left, or it jumps up to the right then left right, or something like that, right? If you can find something that adds a little bit more texture in a secondary or third axis outside of just jumping up and down, you can create a lot more interest, right? Woo! So it's interesting because what she does is she does a small hop here, right? Her antic first immediately faces to the left, or our screen left, her right. Then she does this hop. First off, very cute. She puts her arms out, but then she drags them. But she does this cool, cute motion where it's like elbows are leading, and then the wrist comes and overlaps, and then she brings them closer in. Kind of like she wants to clap or something. But you can see that when she's hopping, she's doing a hop spin. Hop, left, now it's turning to this side. Whoa! So she's facing this side. But as she comes down, and her weight basically comes down here to the bottom of her catch, she immediately converts that into a side turn strike. And that's nice because instead of feeling like, oh, you have to go down and then do the settle and then all the stuff just goes up and down just in one axis, you do a spin, especially because she has a skirt. You get this extra effect of you can transfer the weight of going down into a spin, which gives an extra flavor. Boom. That's cute too because she does an extra like follow through with that. So you can transfer energy. Ooh. Whoops, sorry. Comes down, transfer energy. And then she does another spin. Woo! First off, feels very, very appropriate because her energy and magic is spinning around her right now. But you can see a lot of these things, like a lot of her hands and all her motions are always doing like a very circular motion, right? They're doing a circular this thing, then here, they're doing a circular thing like this. Very cutesy, graceful. And then this is a very, very common, I know, like a ganbatte kudasai. Excuse my horrible accent. But I don't know. We sort of talked about the sucrose a little bit, but her expression here changes and it's a lot more of a confident one. As opposed to being something where she holds it in front of her. She's doing it on her sides, which communicates the same kind of feeling, but because they're out on the side and it's much more graphic and it's a lot more open, she feels more confident, right? She still has the bent knees, all this stuff, but elbows are in. Yeah! And then obviously she has a smile on her face. Yeah. Ganbatte kudasai. Oh god, don't tell my cousins. Alright. Then her ult. Again, more spinning. Okay, and then this is just pop stuff. Pop stuff. Pop star stuff. Kira kira. Woo! Blink blink. Smooch smooch. Well, not smooch smooch. She's just doing sparkles. She's here to dazzle you guys. Ooh. Cool. Oh, there's a heart. You don't get to see that very often. You don't see that. It goes so fast. Dude, you don't see the heart at all. Whee. Okay, so in terms of like lines of actions, I would love for this to delay even more. You know, like your hand, you can like really bend it here and just like foreshorten. But she needs to hit this heart post really quickly, so I don't know. Problem is, you only see it two. You only see it for 2 frames, really. This is 1 frame, 2 frame, and then this one, I don't think it counts. It's still transitioning into it, and then she comes out of it immediately. Still, it works. The heart you really don't see. I feel like maybe it would have been better to not have that, because then you can drag the arm. You can have more frames to drag the arm like this a little bit more or something, which possibly could feel a little bit better, because then it would just transfer into like into something like this, where it opens straight up like that. That would feel a little bit better. Cool, very nice. Straight legs would be perfect for League, but you know, alas. Woo. And then theoretically in this edition, if we're doing League, straight legs, hands need to be a little bit more up. You would take the root, you would take this torso and you would stretch it a little bit, and then here you would really sit on the low part. Really cute spin. What's cute about it, and then what's really nice is sit on this leg, foot kicks out, goes around, arms kick out, poof, balance yourself afterwards. And you should, and what's really nice to see here is foot is planted, this other foot wraps around, but it strikes here pretty quickly, because this needs to hit first as the root is coming in to stabilize, and the hand, and then the chest comes in. Remember, we were talking about this with Mona in terms of what happens first. But you can see here, upper body does the exact same thing. Head goes first, then chest, then root, then I was gonna say butt, but yeah, root, butt, at knees, feet, right? In that order. But then as they're approaching their resting position, they need to stabilize. So the foot has to at least arrive right here to catch. Arms follow through very gracefully. She is an idol by all means, so she's got to make sure that she is cognizant of her fingers and wrists always as they travel through space. Like even here, she's trying to return back to idle, but she still has to do this follow through and overlap, and then her arm has to come back up and do this extra motion with the wrist and the fingers. Perfect. And that's Barbara, our wonderful water idol. 25 minutes left. We have 2 more to go. That was Barbara. We're gonna move on. Let's go.